Hello.
Hey, can you
How
hear
are
me?
you? Morning. Here we go. Thanks for showing up. I know it's the day after Christmas.
No, I didn't know. I looked to see it in the email. I didn't know if there was an email or if anybody was like, oh, the instant messaged me, and then it was like, um, I was like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. And then I told you, and then I'm like, oh, are we even meeting today? So I don't know if
Yeah.
we are.
Well, I was. I thought we might go do a more informal meeting today. I just wanted to touch base, maybe like go over some things that we have for sort of coming up for next year. I mean, it'd be like a shorter meeting today, and just kind of
Yeah,
going through a lot of the stuff that we have sort of hanging.
that's fine. All I was gonna and talk about outside that would be the debate. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, we can do that too. Actually, that's one of the things I had, like the note. I had the notes open on that, and as going through them, and I don't know if we want to talk more about how to organize those or what we want to do with those. So that'll be good. Um, so yeah, sorry to hear about Anson. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like I always thought of the. I always think of the holidays as a time to rest up. So
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Like, I meant to convey that to him, and like it's a perfect time to take it easy anyway. So yeah, it's okay. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you'd rather talk about project informal discussions on project stuff because I'll over the next. Uh, it's great because I feel like I have a lot of time coming up to do stuff because work is slow and everything else. And so I'm looking forward to flesh out some things for like the lab and all the project proposal stuff and whatever else. Um, and I don't know if you want to jump into that or say anything before that or like the AI debate stuff.
yeah, so well, yeah. Why don't we start with the AI debate stuff since that's the big thing this week? Uh,
Okay, let me try.
okay.
Oh, it is working now. Hmm. It was an interesting approach because it was sort of a I really like the debate in and of itself, um, and I think it was a good combination of I basically live tweeted it, but then I also was taking notes in the doc, and I feel like it was a pretty decent mixture of them. Trying to pull it up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw some of your tweets on them, and we were working in the dock, and
yeah. Here it is. I'm going to attempt to. I don't know. There's a bunch of updates because I haven't used my iPad, and it's like yes, I know, you know,
yeah,
that Google
it's
Docs, the Google Docs reminder about the trash thing. I've seen probably like 200 times over the past, for several weeks, and it's like
yes,
you think like by account there would be some like, well, we know this account's probably seen it 50 times by now. But that's how, yeah.
but you know what else? The trash will change in the coming
Yeah.
year. So
So the trash and the trash will be deleted in 30 days, and we're going to have AGI in less than 30 years. That's what I understand.
yeah,
That's what I understand. That's what I'm told. I've been informed. Um, where did it go? Oh, okay, okay, all right. Um, I'm gonna try. I'm stalling because I'm trying to pull up this other thing here and get back to it. Right okay, here. Yes, that's gonna be.
Here we go.
Or, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Back here. Oh. Oh. Well, it's might have reverb. Can't really tell.
A little bit.
Alright, let's try this and go with it. Okay, so after some ado. Oh, and I can't figure out what to do here. Where's the screen sharing button on this?
It's down at the lower left. It's the second one over. Is it sharing or... I don't know. Sometimes it has a little bit of a problem with it.
Is this a start a live stream? That's not what I'm looking for.
No. It's next to the hand icon.
Yeah, it's not showing up for me on
Huh.
my iPad.
You want me to...
Let's just go back to this. Sorry. Okay. Oh, it's just...
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, I completely had to revert my setup back to my other thing, but I think I can just do it like this.
Okay. There we go. I see it now.
So this is pretty much. I might just use these tweets because they're pretty interesting. If you want to share it from the doc, that you can.
Okay.
I think the most interesting things in the doc were. Well, anyway. Actually, what if I can just do this? You're still sharing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go back to just the. There we go. Alright, I'm going to attempt to do this thing. Stop sharing my screen. Turn on the video. I can't really rotate where my video shows. Well, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah, I can see your screen on your computer now. Yeah. Okay.
But I can't see it. this is terrible.
If you want me just to share my... I have it open on my computer. If you want me to share my screen, I can do that.
Might as well.
Yeah.
It's,
All right. Let's do
it's
that.
didn't quite work as planned.
All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
There we go.
that's pretty much what I was going for.
Okay.
I wanted to show like the intro part because it was an overview of who was there.
Yeah.
I missed entirely what the first theme of the first panel was. So if you see the first theme is like architecture and challenges, and that's with Fei Lin, Louis Lam, Richard Sutton, Judea Pearl, Robert Ness, Kenneth Stanley, and Eugene Choi. And I'm really happy to see all of those people who were there. Because I've been looking, like I just found out about Eugene Choi earlier. Um, and people know about Judea Pearl, Richard Sutton. And like Louis Lam is I'm really interested in looking at some of his work about neurosymbolic stuff. And the more that I heard about Fei Lin's work and her inputs on things, it was really really interesting. So I kind of missed a little bit of that panel, but not that much. And seeing them was quite interesting. And then I feel like panel 2 is sort of a interesting take on like the Stanford Triangulating Intelligence Human-Centered AI event, where it was the real emphasis on psychology and neuroscience and AI. And yeah, like I definitely feel like some of the takeaway from this year has been really mapping out this space more, not in a frontier map sense, but in kind of a intellectual, what's actually going on in these areas, and that's part of why in one of my Slack messages to you was sort of I'm having some ideas about frontier map stuff because I think there's a place to move towards I don't know if you probably aren't familiar with this, but there's this map. It's kind of like a funny interpretation of an actual geographic map, and it's the map of like artificial intelligence safety researchers.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like there's an island here, and there's this person here, and there's this coastline, and there's like the sea or whatever, and you have all these different like clusters of people with their themes and what they're doing. And I feel like a more serious version of that is increasingly within my reach of like concrete. Like there's a theoretical map, and then there's a, for lack of a better term, like soldiers or troops on the ground and where they're located and what they're trying to do map that's more concrete and sort of human level, not AI, but human level AI research.
Right.
And I think that's something I might want to flesh out for myself, in part because everything see cognition futures in general. So, I'll leave it at that. And to go back to, do I just automatically take over screen sharing now, or how does that work?
Oh, well, I mean, I can move my screen here. Or are you ready to share your screen?
Well, I just did screen sharing, but I don't know if I am screen sharing right now.
Okay, well, let me unshare my screen then. Okay, I think mine is unshared. So good. Yeah, I see your screen.
Oh, you do? It just says a J or something?
It says a J, yeah. So there we
go. Alright, well, let's go back to this. And I have the document open and the tweets open, and I'm just going to go through everything. If I need to switch back to the document particularly, I'll mention it. But
okay.
This is pretty much the thread that I made. It's pretty good. I kind of started a little bit lighter. I didn't have any major tweets for the first two, but I kind of want to go back and redo that. But Sutton was interesting. I think he's the first person here. his thing was kind of, you know, the Mars analysis, which is good. And,
yeah.
like reinforcement learning is the first theory of intelligence. And some people were like, scoffing at that. But it's simple. That's why like the, represents one particular area of it, maybe connectionist oriented and very computationally based takes on, theories of intelligence. But, it has its place. And I actually found one of the most interesting things that I saw was Rich's response to his take on embodiment and his take on, when he came later in one of the panels, he had a reference for something. And I really like what he said there. And hopefully I'll come across that naturally as we go on with things. Judea Pearl. What did you... I don't know how much of these things you saw, but anytime you have opinions about something, please chime in.
Yeah.
I feel like... I don't quite know what I took away from this stuff at the moment. Let me see what I took the notes say about it.
I like this idea. Yeah, I like this idea of a symbolic object. It's easier said than done, I guess, but it's the idea of creating a computational object, at least as I understand it, creating a computational object that has symbolic properties, or something that isn't like a typical functional type of thing. So you would create a computational object that would have a symbol that could be assigned symbols or be symbolic in and of itself. It's like there's this holy grail of semantic computing, and nobody knows how to do it. And I guess that's a move towards that in that direction. And I thought that was really intriguing.
How would you describe semantic computing? Like just verbal?
I guess it's just to imbue meaning into computational objects or documents or whatever. So a semantic search would be, or you would search for something, and it wouldn't just be like a search term, but there would be meaning attached to it. Again, there are technical definitions of it, which I think have arisen from the fact that it's harder to just kind of do it, maybe as someone who is an artist or a philosopher might define it, and then have this operational definition that has more to do with what can I do rather than what is actually semantic or symbolic. So I don't know, I don't know, it's just intriguing that people are trying to really kind of play with this idea, because actually the CGS models, as try to get into that area. And so you're doing computing, you're trying to, instead of doing this purely functional computing, you're doing more symbolic things and things that have that kind of get into meaning and things like that. But it's a very hard area to get your hands around, because it's really kind of almost counter to a lot of just sort of contemporary computational thinking, or the way we do computation. It's a bit different.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the notes in the document about that, and the testing ground for theories, adaptation, free will, curiosity, what if only, logic gate states, opposed to the cultures of data only, hybrid rules, inputs and outputs. I kind of want to go back. I feel like I'm remembering part of this talk, but it's only a particular amount of stuff in my mind. But I feel like there's a lot there that I wanted to revisit. And then the next talk was Robert Ness. I really liked this talk. And basically, my takeaway from it is I need to get to a level of being proficient. I want to do more. Actually, probabilistic programming is something that I heard a lot through, Joshua Tenenbaum stuff earlier this year, and I kind of made it a goal too. I want to say that I can do probabilistic programming because I can't say it ever right now. And that's on the level 3. But like he has I don't have the slide here, but he has in his GitHub he says C code and video tutorial that his GitHub Robert Ness, and it's a lot of stuff about causal stuff and counterfactual reasoning and things like that. I think that was the end of the first session. Or no, I think there was he in the first part?
I think he's in the second part. Ken Stanley. Yeah.
I have a couple notes. I started just transcribing and using like Otter and other things to take transcripts of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to try to pull it up on my phone while I'm manipulating 2 other devices. But do you have any takeaways from the first panel discussion?
First, I thought Rich Sutton and Udaya Pearl had probably some of the most intriguing ideas in the panel. But I really did it was definitely that sort of fire hose approach, which I think you mentioned when we were doing the notes. It's like, man, this is a lot of information. And they were like these really tiny, short talks, so it was like you would get maybe this, little taste of something, and then now you can go back and revisit it. But I think Ken Stanley had a good talk too, which I think was in the second section.
Honestly, I really think, I don't know who designed it, if it was more Gary. I kind of suspect it might have been Gary because I think I kind of sense his structure and framing of things as the case, but I don't know, maybe it was also Vincent and other people in the community who arranged this, but hats off to the direction of the conference. I thought it was amazing the way the panels were grouped, the way the talks were really short. Like, I thought that was awesome. Like, they kind of had to be because there were so many people.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was perfect. Like, because you got a glimpse, like, it was like this, like 3-minute papers almost. Like here's your preview of like the work that they're doing relevant to the kind of what we're trying to talk about in this conference, and very future looking in that sense. And then you have a panel to wrap on it, and you have another panel, and another panel, and another panel later to everybody talking about stuff. And I really like the question that Gary concluded on as well. And I think it was just really well directed, and I really appreciate that. As far as Kenneth goes, there are some notes here in the document on the first panel, but I'll just let them be, I suppose. So Ken Stanley from OpenAI, OpenN is team leader at OpenAI, apparently, 32.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a whole lot to say to this, but it was a good talk. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh yeah. So this whole idea of open-endedness, they've been talking about this for a while in the A-Life community. Especially with respect to evolution and how evolution isn't, goal-oriented like maybe cognition is. But it's like, you have this sort of open-ended, you have to be able to go in different directions and try to find solutions to problems, but not really have any goal. So, like if you see like the end product of evolution is something adapting to something in the environment. But, when it's actually happening, it's not actually the way it works. It's more like you have a bunch of variants that sort of explore the fitness space, and then some variant might latch onto a solution, and then there's differential reproduction, and you end up the population ends up going in that direction. And that's, and that it allows you to have this open-ended exploration of the environment or of the fitness space. What direction can we go that will, increase our fitness or allow us to survive? And so when you have a goal-directed or goal-oriented approach, you're usually just kind of like, you see the goal, you try to reach the goal, and this is the way a lot of AI works. You have this goal, you try to match the goal or attain the goal, and you have sort of a fitness, which is like a sort of an optimization score or whatever. So that's, but in evolution, you don't have that. You have this exploration of the space. You find a solution, or you find something that allows you to be fit, and then the population sort of converges in that direction through some sort of differential reproduction or whatever, and you end up going in that direction. And cultural evolution works the same way. You have to think about it differently, but it's very similar, where you have a lot of variants that are produced, and then some of them are really successful. And even if they're less successful, you still maybe have places where they're niches that you can occupy, that basically allow for things to survive, and for things for solutions to problems to occur. So it's this open-endedness that's really fascinating. And so I think that's interesting how he brought that up, and it's a lot different way of thinking about AI, because we think about benchmarks and performance on benchmarks, but like in evolutionary programming, for example, it's very hard to you can have benchmarks, but they're sort of superficial. They're more about the performance of the algorithm rather than if you're going to evolve to this state. And I think that they didn't talk about that so much in the session, because I think that's a good theme, though. If they had, I think it would have been a really big topic. It might have gone on for about an hour, the discussion on that. So, I think that's good.
Honestly, kind of what I would like, if I could do whatever I wanted to do about this, and we might, I don't know how busy our schedule is going to be over the next month, because I know there's some things coming up, deadline, but what I would personally like to do is, I don't know the right venue to make such a thing. It could just be a media publication or whatever else, or an in-house document, I don't know. I would really like to go through each of these talks and distill, there's the ZDNet or whatever article that's already published, and the person does a pretty good job of just capturing everything. But I would like to distill some of these, each talk down, and really refine and get some of the points and the concepts, because what you just said about open-endedness, I feel like that's something that I want to be aware of as I'm producing other things that I'm doing. So I would really, I feel like Baby Minds panel at NeurIPS, and a couple other things there, but almost, and I'm trying not just to have recency bias, but I think if I was to really take a deep dive into one of these things, it would be pretty much a toss-up between the Baby Minds panel and this overview of stuff. Baby Minds is moving more specifically directly applicable towards in-depth research that I'd want to do, but I don't know. So the point being, I might take a deep dive into some of this at some point. I'm curious how to best go about that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know. Am I missing Eogens? Is there someone? Is Yogen before Barbara or after Barbara? No, she's before Barbara.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
before.
I know I have some stuff for her somewhere, but I don't think I've put it in this thread, which is disappointing. I really liked the agent's stuff. I just can't find it. It's probably not going to be here. Alright, I'm going to try to do this. Actually, maybe you could share your screen and go through your agent slides. That'd be easier.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. So this is in the AI debate document. Let's see if we go down. Was this one of them or?
That's for no, that's fake. So you're probably much further down. It's just after.
'Cause I don't have
Yeah,
these
OpenAI.
in a great amount of organization, or I put these slides in, but I don't think they're like organized in chronological order directly. So
That's fine. It's after this talk.
okay,
Or this next.
oh, this is
Yeah.
it. Oh yeah, Roger Shepard and the monsters and the enigma of reason. I like that.
Yeah, the gist of Yajin's work, like she's really interested in using like language as a medium to connect, like trying to be a bridge, towards hybrid models and getting symbolic stuff through language. And she said at the end, I believe, like she doesn't. It's not the only way to do it. It's just a. Here it is. I found this. I found this stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, the topic was largely focused on, like, the title of the talk was called Common Sense Intelligence, Cracking the Long-Standing Challenges in AI. Revisiting Common Sense, I don't know if that's not on here. She spoke about how at the start of her career she was really discouraged to not talk about common sense because all the stuff, this fits really well into my own like research of like conditioned future stuff and just the arc of interest in funding in AI. Like, she cites the past failures in the 70s and the 80s as being inconclusive when looking at kind of these symbolic and hybrid approaches. Well, more so symbolic approaches to AI potentially. And she cited weak computing power, not much data, not as strong computational models, and not having ideal formulas and representations. And then the slides that you have, Shepard's Monsters, which I think they came up at one time before, but I forgot. Yeah. Then I forgot about that. Not the controversial remarks. So I think just before the controversial remarks slide, or just after it, she talked about how to bridge, she's talking about how to bridge the gap basically, and she highlighted symbolic common sense graph, neural common sense representation, reasoning engines with common sense, and constructing challenge data sets right or correctly. And then the slide that you have in there, I think it's interesting to look at reasoning as a generative task, as opposed to a discriminative task. Or even maybe in the sense of more broadly, like both generative and discriminating from within a much broader generalized worldview. But that's a bit deep in the weeds to say here. But yeah, I don't have any more like good things to bring up about what she wrote, but I'm very interested in her work that way.
Yeah, I like this talk. So yeah, I don't know if we have any other slides. Oh, a couple here. The controversial remarks slide. There it is. Surfaces and Essences. It's a good book. So yeah, I think she was talking about like categories being like, this is something that we have categories, and then, but we have to think about categories as these heuristics that are not really like, we think of categories as these boxes where we put things, but really they're not really boxes. They're sort of like fluid things that, you put it in one category, and the same thing can be part of another category, and maybe not entirely part of the category you put it in. And so, and I think that's important to think about, like, especially when you get into like meaning and context, that the label that you put on it as a category is not always going to fully describe the thing, nor is it really fully conform to the category.
Okay. I could potentially share my screen for the next one.
All right.
Wait.
Here we go.
So, Barbara was up next, and she had a listing. She's very interesting pro embodiment from the recalling her stuff, right? And it's very, very much like movement focused. Probably what kind of concerning information. Gestures. Oh, oops! I missed some stuff. Did you have any takeaways from her talk?
Not really.
I'm confused a little bit because my things are out of order.
Oh.
I think I also missed. Did she go? Let me check my schedule here. Yeah, she went before. She went first in panel 2, which is the Insights from Neuroscience Psychology. Barbara Tversky thinking with the body of the world, and then it was Daniel Kahneman again, which his talk was going to be how people think about counterfactual and the normal, but he changed his talk.
Right.
And I thought that was actually pretty cool that he did that. Do I have it here? Yeah, can you see this on my screen?
Yeah.
He had no slides in his talk, but I'd be curious what your take on this is. My quick take on this was, in so many words, he kind of had pushback against people trying to say, oh, well, System 1 and System 2 is basically symbolic versus non-symbolic logic. And he was trying to say it might not be that simple, and there's some examples of, here's where it fits and here's where it doesn't fit. But, it's important. He encouraged people being precise about what things mean, I guess, as opposed to just fitting them into, oh yeah, System 1, System 2, and so on. So, what was your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge I don't have a huge amount of knowledge about System 1 and System 2, so, I mean, that was interesting, but, that's his thing, I think, so that's something they've laid out in their books, so, maybe it has been more adopted than it should have been, but I don't really know.
My general sense of it was like, I think he's kind of, at least from seeing how it comes up a lot of times, like, it's sort of like it's a very useful interpretation of things, and a model, like a way to base the model on like it's a reference point, and it's a very important one to have. It's just you know, I think it was helpful for him to come to change his topic on the fly, and it wasn't out of a sense of criticism of anybody that was taught. I don't think anybody was like overusing System 1 or System 2 in the debate. But I think it's always good when you have people who are like, you know, huge names, even like, you know, his book is like even a very small upstate New York bookstore. You know, oh, psychology, economics, yeah, Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, yeah, his book's there.
Yeah.
But if somebody at that level come out and say, hey, like, I know you guys want to use my theory to justify these things in AI, explain this, but you know, maybe be careful, and maybe, you know, don't try to, just because it's a popular thing and it's well known, like maybe you're trying to fit it too hard. And I respect those things, and yeah. Let's see. And then next was Dorsal, understanding the importance of understanding feedback, which is, you know, relevant to the lab somewhat. Yeah. I can't find my stuff on her, but the slides are really good. There are slides in the document. And did you have any? I think you liked her talk in general, but
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, let me see if I have this.
It's definitely in the document.
Yeah.
There's a couple slides.
I don't think I did put it in there now. But yeah, I know you did do the tweet on the feedback, you know, calling out the lab and like saying,
Oh, that one.
yeah. But that was a good, you know, that's a good thing to follow up on. I think there are a lot of people who are interested in that. But I think that's a good kind of idea to follow up on feedback and sort of what it means. And I mean, we talked about that like last summer's NeuroMatch Academy project. You know, we were talking about feedback. We were talking about in the context of that one data set. I think that actually, if we freed ourselves from the data set for a minute and talked and just thought about, like, you know, if we could like think about feedback in that way, but not necessarily tied to any data set, what would the conversation look like? So like, you know, yeah, here it is. Insights from Feedback Ahoy. That was it.
Yeah.
The steersman analogy, you know, where in cybernetics, where they talk about the steersman, and then you're using ahoy, which is also a nautical term. So it's like,
Wow.
nice cybernetics nautical theme there.
Wow. That's like, that was like subliminal in my part, but I didn't realize it fully until now. So I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, congratulations. But yeah, this is the talk, and yeah, so those are the slides, and yeah, I think so like feedback, and this was kind of what I'm kind of talking about too. That she kind of like went through all these different types of feedback, and so like predictive coding, robust perception, binding, which things you wouldn't necessarily put in the same basket, but there they are, and feedback. And I mean, you know, we think about feedback maybe at this point a little bit too subliminally. We don't really think about it as a organizing principle. Maybe we say, well, of course something is feedback, you know, but that's not like, you know, you can say that, but there are implications for having, you know, different types of feedback, maybe different orders of feedback, you know, if it's runaway feedback, or if it's like, you know, dampened feedback or whatever. So those are things that I think that it's this is kind of a really interesting way to kind of think about it. Like where do we see this in the brain, and then what from there, if we know kind of the different classes of feedback, we can kind of talk more about like how it how the control mechanisms work, and maybe it isn't all about feedback. It's maybe because I know there's this debate about like sort of not recursion, but reentrance, things like that in neuroscience and in AI with deep learning and
how much is how much like
back propagation, yeah.
propagation happen?
Yeah. So like there are all these debates, and the sort of broader concept of feedback might be helpful there, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's written that paper where they actually consider.
It's funny because I'll go ahead and finish.
Where they consider it at that high of a level, Go ahead.
I was trying to think. Like, oh yeah, someone. I didn't know if it was her, if it was Doris Tsao, or someone else. And then I looked at the notes and I realized it was the next speaker. But I was like, yeah, wasn't someone talking about basically using it wasn't feedback necessarily, but monitoring human brain activity and using that to guide machine learning. And that's actually the next speaker. I don't know if I have easily accessible version of this stuff, but Marblestone. Did I put anything up here about stuff? Adam Marblestone was the next speaker, and he basically spoke about leveraging neurotech for AI. I didn't have a whole lot to say about it. He had a pretty interesting talk, and a few slides here that I captured. But basically, the takeaway was looking at human brain activity to try to guide machine learning itself, which is a very interesting concept, and he mentioned some papers. But I didn't have a whole lot to add on to that. Did you?
Not really, no.
Okay, let's see who's next. I think actually this is Christoph Koch.
Yeah, that was interesting. I know he does a lot of stuff with. They're doing a lot of stuff with, like putting together brain imaging and kind of analyzing it, and I think I put a comment in the chat in Slack, something about like how, he's talking about these fan motifs that exist in the brain that have like, thousands and thousands of connections, outgoing connections and incoming connections. And I thought that was interesting at that scale, because we don't think of feedback at that scale. And, we think maybe of like the, conceptual way of thinking about it is like one or a couple of neurons at a time, but like thinking about those massive systems. And that's what they're doing here with a lot of the data that they're collecting.
Yeah, I like the phrasing of this talk, because originally someone posted on Twitter like, oh yeah, Christoph Koch will be talking about neuroscience and AI, and then a lot of this talk was saying, look, this slide here that I was lucky to get. And basically it's just saying like, look, we don't. It might not be what we're hoping for in a way, and there were people in the panels who are like, yeah, like I'm kind of on board. We may figure out parts of AI much faster than parts of the brain.
Yeah.
And yeah, that probably makes sense. And I kind of look at it as like, I really like how Josh Tenenbaum talks about kind of the different approaches to understanding intelligence from different angles. Like I think there's some spaces that will be much easier to access. And this goes into topics about like, why is vision, why is there such a focus on vision in machine learning and computer vision? It's like, well, it's very accessible, but does that mean that it's the foundation of all cognition? Maybe not, but that's okay. So it's kind of like having this, having Koch say, is it Coke or Koch?
Coke, I think.
Having Coke say this, I think it was pretty good, and even like, you know, looking for neuroscience to help AI or don't.
Right.
I think, and then this quote, understanding brains and their pathology is a part that's going to take a century or two, and I feel like that phrasing reminds me so much of the Norbert Wiener quote that I custom made a graphic to, and I'm very proud of myself for making that, obviously. But in that quote that Norbert Wiener said, which is part of, it's in the original cybernetics book, and part of like he's talking about nervous systems or whatever, and he's highlighting the difference between a computing machine and its pathologies and a brain, which is very different structures. And it's sort of like, I think it's, I feel like a lot of people who are on the front edge of neuroscience and computational neuroscience maybe would not like to hear the 2nd-century remark, but at the same time, I think it's important to have that sense of distance about where to go,
Right.
and particularly the details, like you were saying about in the previous thing about that level of complex, that level of complexity that's being processed in the brain, and or feedback, I should say, and then like how does that actually functionally work, and these things that are there. So, any other takeaways from this slide that I wanted to mention? No comment on these things.
No.
Okay.
You said you had to leave at 10:30 or 11:30 or.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. We should.
Yeah. Why don't we? I wanted
Cap
to.
this and come back to it
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. Let's come back to it next time. And actually, the other things I was going to talk about in the meeting was that. Well, thank you for presenting on that. That's great. I wanted to talk about a couple other things for the end of the year, though. And one of those involves the AI debate in NeurIPS notepad. So why don't we reflect on the note-taking exercise? So we have these notes that we have. We have a lot of notes in here, and I would encourage people to look at them. But I mean, like, it's still kind of, it's like, I don't know how many pages this is. It's 32. So it's like kind of hard for people to go through and get things out. So we were talking about maybe putting together some blog posts on this.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what the best way to, like, approach that. We've been talking about, like, I mean, you could theoretically mine this for an entire year, just having, like, monthly posts on different things, which might be a thing if that's something we want to do. But I would, though, suggest not being overwhelmed by it and just picking out maybe like a topic, maybe some of the topics we've talked about today.
Yeah, I feel like my first brush of like what I would want to do is like, it's funny, we're actually on it right now. Like, I would like to take a deep dive into Tony Zador's talk, The Genomic Bottleneck, because I feel like it's a very good reference point, and it was high enough visibility and good talk where a lot of people from different points of view, they had a really good discussion around it, and he spent like an hour in the follow-up session to just talk about stuff. And I don't know if I did a good job of it, but I'm going to try to save some of that in this chat, which may or may not be available by the time I get to look at it again. But Tony, I kind of threw together the Medium blog post about some ethics stuff, which could be expanded upon. But like, as far as technical things, I think Zador's talk, the Baby Mice talk, and maybe one of the panels from some of the other things are like, can't miss. I think those really should be, I don't know what to really do with them, but like at least discuss, maybe make some kind of a post about them or like present on them specifically about that, as opposed to just like, as opposed to just sort of saying, oh, here's 5 minutes talking about it in our recap session. I think that would be a good.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe out a couple of those, like 1, 2, 3 things from NeurIPS and the AI debate, and say, hey, let's make a set of articles about that as a starting point, and if we want to go. Like, this seems pretty actionable and easy.
Yeah. So we have, so let's see. We have the blog, of course. This is the blog again. So we have a couple new posts here. We have this recap, which I did, and we have the ethics at NeurIPS, which you did. So you already did one post on NeurIPS. That was, I think this is pretty good as an overview. I think this might be a good template. So you basically
very simple. I kind of wanted to add more, but I also wanted to I'm erring on the side of, at this point, make something inadequate that's good and stay far away from perfect and post it and then add to it later if need be. Because that's so much more, it's just, even from a straight note-taking perspective from the Trolley version and all that stuff, like, if you don't post something or create something, it just fades. And it sucks. And it takes so much more effort to go back to it. And it's like, I've been sitting on this, I actually had this draft for over a week. And it's like, you know what? I could put 2 or 3 times more content on this. Maybe I will. But like, it's time to just put it away, get it out there. And it was great. Like, I posted it on Twitter, I showed it to other friends. And like, in a very serious way, like, this actually led to an important conversation that would not have happened if I didn't do it. If I didn't get it out there. So it's like, that's a bit of a soapbox about the virtues of posting stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. And of course there was some ethics stuff at the AI debate as well, and that might fit. You might add that into this post. Just kind of like, or you might have an additional post where you say, you follow up on this post with maybe a little bit different perspective. You might pick one topic and drill down into it, or you might continue on and say, we did this. This is the stuff that was happening at NeurIPS. This is the stuff that was happening at AI debate, and so there's a connection. There are connections there I can make. So there are a lot of ways you can do. I've been writing blog posts for over 10 years, so I know how to kind of do this. And I agree that, that's a good way to do it, is to just publish something, get it like in readable form, of course. Maybe use a lot of images like you did here, and then, publish it, and then people will read it, and then you can add to it later. I know people like to do the polished blog thing, but I don't really see the point, because you're really, it's like you're just putting up you're just organizing your thoughts. It's not a published paper, a Nature paper or something like that. So it's perfectly good to, add things on, or to, maybe do another post that, uses this as its stepping stone. Then you can create a series. So there are a lot of ways to do that.
Well, also, like, I don't want to, I'm happy to be posting things on Medium, but for I don't want to turn away from Synthetic Daisies. So I'm happy to hear what you have to say about how to best use that, or if that could be a place to create certain things on, or whatever else.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, I think actually we could do I could repost this on Synthetic Daisies, but in Synthetic Daisies, I've just used it as my own blogging platform. But if you have an essay type post that you want to publish there, we can do a cross post, or we can do an actual just posting it there. I was thinking at first maybe we should use the Medium for smaller things, kind of this, which is the recap of orthogonal lab activities, but there's no reason why you couldn't use it for longer things. So we'll think about that more as we go on. I definitely though, I mean, I've done a lot of cross posting, and that's always good if you want to get different audiences involved. Like, if you want to find people who, this blog is probably going to have an audience, probably pretty general. If there's something maybe on like systems that we want to publish that's more detailed, Synthetic Daisies, actually, it's one of the themes of the blog is systems or, other types of things related. There's, developmental biology, things like that. So there are a couple of themes that Synthetic Daisies has, and I'm not really that beholden to like organizing it by theme or restricting things by theme, but so I think that would be good. I think though I think we should definitely post things here, even if we end up posting it somewhere else and then linking here. So this is like a post where I did this talk. I just prepared these slides on a summary of activities. You can click through to find the slides. And what I've done is I've published the slides on GitHub. And then you can go click through, read those, and then and then you have this this preprint too. I want to bring attention to this. So this is something we'll be updating in the next year, and this is hosted on Meta Archive, so we can host things off-site and link to them in this way. Like, and this can be a Synthetic Daisies post. We can link to, you see what I'm saying? Like, we can do things like that where we have all these different media that we can just link together and have one place where people can access all of it. So
yeah, I think this is all good.
Yeah, and then like in terms of posting from these note documents, yeah, I agree. We should find like 1 to 3 topics, maybe do a deep dive, and then put it up on the Orthogonal Lab blog, or maybe we even do a Synthetic Daisies post and link to it here. But that's
I think like this is kind of a lab-wide thing, but just in my case, like the structure and purpose of doing anything like this is content that I want to know more and be able to talk about and present and incorporate in my own work. So again, I think I'm kind of saying this for myself and just for like past things. Like, it's not a blog post as like, right, because I've worked in marketing and copywriting and everything else, and I was like, okay, just make this blog post. But it's like, this is the means of creating something that you want to know more about, and you don't want to spend too much time with that. Like, I don't want to, it's like, I have no intention of making the focus of my time in the lab being writing blog posts on Medium. That's not
right.
what it's about. But at the same time, at the level of understanding and development and creating these educational components and doing my own skills, yes, is an outlet for that. So it's sort of like, keeping that in mind as a framework going forward, and seeing how, the act is writing these short posts or long essays, whatever.
Yeah.
But the deeper tie-in is to these bigger undercurrents of development and stuff in the lab. And I don't know if that's what you also wanted to talk about. Like, you mentioned the upcoming conference and some other things to focus on, like outside of like the other things you wanted to talk about now, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, in terms of the posts, I think this is good where we have like the short informational or longer essays. I think definitely though, we'll be doing like a lot of informational stuff. This will be like kind of a face of like what we're thinking in the meetings and what we're thinking about in Slack, you know. So like this essay is probably born out of a lot of conversations we've had about ethics in our meetings, but also NeurIPS. And so it's, you know, and it's an essay that, you know, it's a nice compilation for people to go to and say, oh yeah, we were talking about this in the lab. I want to read more about this. And then, you know, something like this recap of activities, that's okay, well, you know, I missed that, or I wanted to reflect on it. I'll go through and look at it. This is an announcement, so announcements for talks. And we did kind of the same thing for Maine 2020, and then the Cognition Futures update. So we can also do like project updates too. And so this will be something that I think is good because it helps you kind of organize your thoughts about what's going on in this project. And, you know, ways that we can't really do in the meetings. You know, it's like, let's take inventory of the project. Let's see what's going on. And then people can read this update as like something that they can maybe draw action items from. So this is good. I like the way this is shaping up. And so there's that, the blog part, the note-taking part. And then I wanted to point out that I had, wait a minute, this isn't on. So I wanted to point out that on the website, which is the main website for the lab, we actually have, I've integrated tweets into the website. And this isn't anything new, but I just noticed this the other day, and I was like going through this, and I said, well, this streams like in a window on the website. And so I'm wondering, you know, I wish we could do this, and I don't know, this is probably not something that we would develop, but I'm just wondering if there's a way to like take like a lot of the notes and a lot of the blog posts and kind of stream them like tweets or integrate it with a stream, something like that, because I think it would be kind of cool to have like all of that integrated. And again, it's not something we have to develop. I don't even know how you would do it, but it would be kind of a cool thing to have access to. So, you know, you just have all these different things that people are posting, you know, all this in there. You can think of it as like content that kind of brings together ideas. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a way to like kind of stream this stuff into some common set of things that we can look over and evaluate.
Well, just using Twitter itself, two things come to mind. One would be like having a common hashtag, but that's a bit clunky, which people wouldn't really use. Another thing would be creating some kind of a bot or just an account where anything that you want to be on that stream, like it might be a little bit weird because it wouldn't be Orthogonal Labs Twitter. Like if you wanted to have it be Orthogonal Labs Twitter itself, that would probably be some specific stuff. But like, you could probably create a way where something you could basically just retweet what you desire to a specific account, have that account show it and display it in that text. If you wanted to do it like in the Twitter setup, there are ways to do it, but there are some that are like more or less clunky, and you know, that's something we could definitely talk more about. But yeah, that'd be cool just to see the stuff there and kind of show. There, depending on how complicated you want it to be on the website, I think there's a few different ways to display that stuff. But also, just to say this too, before I forget, I think Medium would also be a cool place to post our sort of. They don't have to be housed there. Like they could be housed on the website or maybe Synthetic Daisies, but like our call for involvements on the projects that we're developing.
Yeah.
The little sort of like you can make these you can make these like category headings of stuff, and you could have one just for call for enrollments, like I did with the Saturday Morning Nurse tag. So we'll all be in that category and so on and so forth. But
yeah, I think that would be, yeah, we'll follow up on that. I didn't mean that there was going to be a solution today, but just kind of think about like, you know, think about it, you know, how do you integrate, like we have all these media, like we have the website, we have the Medium, we have things like Synthetic Daisies, we have the Twitter stream, we have Slack, which is private. We even have the GitHub repository, which they actually have for the different projects, or not the projects, but they're. There's a thing that you do in the groups, I believe, that's I can't remember what this is right now. It was really cool. I think we've done this with the conversations or whatever. I can't remember how you get there. But you have these conversational streams. The only problem is it's private. And so
it's Teams or something.
The Teams, yeah, there we go. So those are, we could use that, but that's private. But all those things are basically the same kind of principle. There are all these media that are out there. And, it's like, how do we bring them together more effectively? I mean, it almost
seems like if you want a stream that's public, I was really interested in that, in the sense of, when I saw them on GitHub and then realizing that they had to be inherently private because of the nature of the teams, that kind of sucked. It almost feels like if you want to have a consistent stream for a specific project, the best one I can still think of is probably still on ResearchGate, which is still really social anyway. So, yeah. I don't know. That's very much more specific project oriented and like specific paper oriented, basically. But I feel like that's something to look into. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of figuring out, there's got to be some way to do this more effectively. But I mean, that's something that evolves over time. So, I mean, that's I've tried a lot of different ways, and it's definitely sometimes it makes it worse than it would have been otherwise. But so we want to avoid that. But if we can make it so that if we can find a way to sort of streamline some of this information, especially for newer collaborators who might be joining in and just want to get up to speed on things, especially if you send them to this notepad, this shared notes document for NeurIPS, and you say you want to learn about NeurIPS or what's going on in that area. Read through this well, this is 100 pages of document. So, I mean, it's better than not having it at all, but it's also very hard to navigate. And
it's not. Yeah. It's like raw data. It's not clean at all. It's not presentable. It's not ready to be deployed. It's not ready to be deployed or demonstrated organically. It's just collecting. And so, yeah, that's part of it too, being able to having an efficient, this has been one of the major big things we talked about last couple months, how do we have this efficient pipeline of, yes, from a specific researcher, individual research perspective, how do we go about inputs, collecting the Turley Burns, doing it with them and putting it into some deliverable, some demo or deploy thing. And then from the lab side too, and this is a whole other art form that I'm starting to learn, how an administrative or leading a research team or getting a bunch of researchers on the same page, how do you convey, frankly, this has been a really difficult thing to do, in different labs that I've been in. I've never really seen this extremely well demonstrated anywhere.
Right.
And I've actually really appreciated the opportunity to play around with this, in this lab as part of what I'm doing and lab editor stuff. Because I feel these are questions I've had. How do we do this? And it's not it's more than just I want to write some posts, I want to write some blog posts. No, it's how do we make it easy for people to get to quote unquote join the lab, but also to get as earnestly and rapidly as possible, get them to a place to see what the problem is that we're working on and how to break the path of their do the work of the bird on the flying bee at the start of it, make it easier to get there, and go from there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's always a challenge to get this is like static, and then you want to make it dynamic for people, and then it's like, well, where do I start? And I've seen different strategies where they just kind of describe it, but yeah, I mean it's very much, but there's so much potential we could do, just from animations to like different streams of information. Just the ways that I'm thinking about it is I just think that like there's this potential that we can capture, and I don't know exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
So the final thing I'd like to talk about is the submissions of things. So I put together the submissions document. This isn't in the typical format that we've been using for the other things, but I just wanted to put it together in a spreadsheet so we'd have it.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Your voice is a little canny, or tinny. Do you think it can... There we go. Are you back?
Is it any better now?
Yeah, you're better. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is the thing that I prepared. So this is. It looks like a lot of stuff here, and it is, but I'm just putting down things that are kind of loose ends, but also some deadlines. So some of these are, this one, for example, the SIGCHI workshop. This is a hard deadline of the 31st of January. This is the website, and I think they're looking for a full position paper on some topic. And so I think it's like 4 to 8 pages, something in that neighborhood, which seems like a lot, but it's actually, something we'll probably prepare in a month, especially from the things we've been talking about. And I was thinking about the topic of allostasis machines. We can talk about this maybe in the next month. But this is something that, it's a nice target. So that's a hard deadline. This one, the OHBM Twitter conference, that's coming up. That's an annual thing. So I don't really know what the actual deadline is on that, but it's close. I think it opens on the 20th of January. So I want to make sure we make the stuff that we know is coming up and the stuff that we've seen hard deadlines for. The Evolution 2021 conference, that opens March 1st. I think that only requires an abstract. This is something maybe we'll get the DevaWorm group, something from there. So I'm adding in DevaWorm stuff too, but I just want to have a list of things.
Yeah, I think that's very smart and good.
Yeah, and then like CSV Conf, Artificial Life 2021 is... Now that deadline is March 7th, and that's a full paper. So that's another thing we have to kind of prioritize. And this could be, the developmental AI stuff or the COG Futures. We already have the paper that we wrote for the NeurIPS workshop. So I think maybe the path of least resistance there is to like take that paper that we already have like 4 or 5 pages on and flesh it out a bit more to 8, which is what they need for this. There's stuff that we've already submitted. So this is something that was submitted to the OSF virtual conference. This is a DevaWorm thing again. But this is something now, this has been submitted, so I've got it a different color. And then if it's accepted or rejected, there's going to be like a column here.
Ooh, I see that you have the Envision conference on there.
Yeah.
I would like to, I don't know if, like the real conference is happening sometime in March or April.
Okay.
But I want to put like a deadline of, if you could even put this in there now, just put a deadline of like, I don't know, let's say January 31st, because I want to pitch something to them, all along the lines of, all that just in the lab, and I don't know, I don't quite know the structure of things yet, but I kind of want to
pitch / volunteer some things that could be presented about there. So yeah.
Yeah. So that was yeah. So this one, so that's Envision, and we'll follow up on these too as they go along. So this one, of course, is the Cyber Cafe Scientifique that was submitted, and I haven't heard anything back, but we'll again put that in we'll put this in yellow if we can find the right way to do this. Here we go. Again, this is like a something that's been submitted. We don't know if it's been accepted. Then if it has been accepted, then we follow up on it with like the artifact. If it wasn't accepted, then maybe we can recycle the thing that we produced for this. And so it just, it gives us a way to manage our things that we make for different things. And then I have some things here, Gibsonian information, MetaBrain models overview. Those are things that, these could be like blog posts, or these could be papers, or these could be submissions to conferences. I have up here already Neuromatch 4, so that's going to happen, but we don't know when. But there are other opportunities maybe that we fit some of these things to, or we put an opportunity on here. We don't know what we want to put in yet.
I think Neuromatch Academy. Oh, did you say Neuromatch or Neuromatch Academy?
Oh, Neuromatch. Well, I put Neuromatch, but we could also have Neuromatch Academy.
Yeah, that's going to be happening again, and I think I think that's something I look forward to for a lot of people. Like, it'd be cool if you were a mentor again. I don't think I'm ready to be a TA per se.
Yeah.
But like, that's a great thing, and man, like. This year I had I'll continue that thought some other time.
Yeah. It's very busy.
The subtext is positive, tentative, slightly hesitant, but very positive. Like, the potential of the year ahead is like, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like it will definitely be my favorite time in the lab. Also, like, Google Summer Coach probably be on there, but that's like down the road and things like that. But
yeah,
like, I definitely, I hope I'm not steering the lab too much in a personal direction, but I feel like I'm way, like, in my own personal growth as a researcher and what I'm trying to do, it's like, yeah, the things that we're talking about now, like, really, like, this is where I hope that I would be after, a couple of years of looking at this stuff. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, I try to give people opportunity to, spread their wings. And, like, if other people want to spread their wings as well, they're welcome to do so. That would mean that we would be talking about whatever their interests are. I mean, we actually do have a number of different things where people are kind of taking their own piece. But I want to kind of, give like a very broad overview. And I think we've done that in the past year, where we've kind of like talked about broad topics, but also other people's things that they want to do. And again, it's largely because you're at a pretty advanced stage that you're doing this, like you're kind of leading a project where you're thinking about how to build it and how to put the pieces together. So, I mean, again, like for this, in terms of this table, if there are things you want to like spell out, like if there's a topic you want to submit somewhere, you might put it on this list, and then we can maybe match it to an opportunity. If we get opportunities come up, like, I don't know, maybe some conference starts to happen. This is like a project for Neuromatch Academy. So we could actually maybe propose a project there, or submit something to Neuromatch for.
I think that's very good, and I think what I would like to, like, from a lab manager perspective, I think that's really important. What I'd like to see is sort of like looking at like different labs around, and graduate school stuff, and you can kind of see that there's just like all sorts of the whole spectrum and beyond of people outrightly just saying on the page, I'm not accepting any students, people saying, email me, people saying, don't email me, people saying, look at these research, people saying, don't even try to contact me in any way, because you just go through the review process and you'll find out what we're doing in the lab. Like, there's just like so much, like it's not like there's a uniform process, at least from what I've seen in American like graduate studies or people applying to labs, whatever kind. Like, there really isn't a uniform thing, particularly in academia. Maybe industry is a little bit more like corporate in how they go about stuff. But like, where I'm going with this is like, I think, given the nature of our distributed lab, it'll be really like I'm very active in my area, but like I think it would be great to represent the things that have been worked on, either sort of like there's a lot of tangential things that are in development or like partially in development. Like Hanson's specific topic for a lot of his stuff will be good to have just a place to show or talk about it, so people could get excited about it and join in with it. Same thing with the complexity stuff. Same thing with like whatever Akshu's doing with her specific work in her lab. Like I think there's a lot of things there, and I know Rashad hasn't been able to make the meetings recently, but he has a lot of ideas about things he wants to do, and he's I think there should be, and I'm kind of saying this for myself particularly. I think there's oh, are you still there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, the internet dropped out.
Oh.
It's fine. I think having these representative project categories and some descriptions and a front-facing it will be good. But then, like, specifically in that view and that document that you presented, being able to say, hey, here's pretty much a side-by-side thing like you had. Like, here's some topics that we're interested in. Here's some things you would like to push forward. And ultimately, those things would be tied to maybe some specific projects, which some of them are now, but also just continuing to learn how to create these very easy on-ramps from, idea to deliverable to venue. And then idea, venue, idea or concept or whatever, team, as in the people, venue, and deliverable. Like those four things are kind of what it comes down to. And being able to just sort of have a way to continue to bring them together easily, I think is like a lab manager thing on my mind about that. So, yeah.
Well, that's good, yeah, and I will definitely work on those descriptions. I know we've been talking about that, and I haven't done it, but I will.
Well, I haven't had any time until basically now. I'm actually looking forward to doing that. So I think it'll be something. I don't know if we're gonna. I assume are we gonna be meeting next week, or are we taking time off for winter stuff?
We could meet. I guess we could. I don't know. I was thinking of meeting next week is the 2nd, so I don't know if people are coming back in or still on New Year's. I mean, I would probably wait until the following week to have a meeting, so maybe we'll skip next week.
Okay. I probably won't be talking to you in Slack or otherwise anyway, obviously, but I would like to really get a lot of these things fleshed out a bit more. Like with the stuff that I want to do for myself, but also I think it's a really important time because you want to catch people. People are still looking for summer, spring internships, basically. Like this is the equivalent of that spring semester involvement. And I think having a slew of things out there would be really useful for people who are looking for those things. Yeah. I'll look at that.
Yeah, it sounds good. Okay.
And obviously the paper stuff too. Like I want to. Those deadlines will be here very quickly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we can. Yeah. I'm trying to keep it. Well, we'll probably try to do this every week to try to keep on top of it. So, it's like it's just the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you miss deadlines, and then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, deadline's already here. Ah, well,
and I think that the deadlines are kind of like a mandatory thing. I haven't been at my computer properly today or like recently to do like the project update task board on GitHub. Those are still useful, but I think the art of trying to have proper lab administration in this sense is ever evolving. But I think the deadlines and the general calendar. Um, I think that's what it comes out like the calendar plus the four things that I mentioned about like idea, deliverable, teams, venue. Like those are kind of like I might try to recenter those things a bit more. But yeah, that's it. Um, I don't have anything much more to say. I don't have to leave
okay.
immediately right now, but
All right.
any other concluding thoughts?
Not really. Just have a good rest of the holiday season, and we'll be working on these things. We can work on them through Slack. Also, maybe we'll do in the new year. We'll finish up kind of on the maybe some more thoughts about the AI debate, or like maybe next
Yeah.
time we can kind of finish up the going through the notes, and then maybe some themes that we've picked after thinking about it. What are the themes maybe that are most fruitful? We talked about feedback. Maybe there's some other things in there that are interesting, like symbolic computing, or something that Rich Sutton said. Because I know he said, well, we need a unified theory of AI, and then he was kind of pushing reinforcement learning. So it's like, well, maybe that isn't it. I mean, but I mean, that's a good. I think there needs to be more theory, though. I think that's a good point in AI. Like,
I, I really liked. I don't know. I think this is. I don't know which panel discussion was in, but like the phrase of like we're in pre-Newtonian physics for intelligence, we're at a Cambrian explosion of ways to study it. But like we're still in a we don't have these big classical theories. And it's sort of like that's the thing. I wish I could. I will refer to this to Anson because I feel like Anson is very aware of this, and a lot of his work is. He's deeply aware of the need to create these sort of structured models of how things work, and even if they're refined and challenged and improved upon, like those models give you, like obviously Newtonian physics don't cover everything. This classical mechanics, it's not everything in the world, but for a particular sphere of relevance, yeah, they have tremendous explanatory power and predictive power, and I feel like. That's going to be harder because people, like it's just not things. The uniformity is going to be different, but at the same time, yeah. I forgot what inspired me to say that, but I agree about Reset, and I agree about like pre-Newtonian. State of being.
yeah,
We'll see where that goes.
yeah,
Oh, also I wanted to say like, if we're not having a fall meeting in 2 weeks, I think definitely a serious goal for me will be with you and some other people because there are basically some projects that are not really given formal stuff right now that are ongoing in the lab, and I think I want to basically catalog those things and then add a couple more prospective ones and have a list of essentially a 2021 call for involvement, like career fair, like a fair of like involvement fair. I don't know, where you have these like little descriptions, a little bit tied to, you kind of break it down into the four categories that I've been repeating, so I remember like venue, idea, team, deliverable. Like you have that, you have those kind of general things, and the idea pretty much is, I don't know if project should be part of that or not, but like you have those four things associated with it, when you look at, it could just be like, whoa, what am I talking about? Maybe just like a very simple web. I don't know if it's a page, I don't know if it's a blog post or something, but just like a very simple, sort of like the equivalent of the thing I just did for the AI ethics, but just like a very simple proposal / call for involvement description of these projects, either in projects that have existed, like people could pick up on Sam Feld's work in CGS stuff. People could pick up on directly on the development of Rainbird vehicle stuff. There's the MetaBrain stuff, there's Micronation Future stuff, there's Anthony Alice stuff, there's the complexity stuff, there's Ach stuff, there's Rashab stuff, there's even some of the things that were presented through the lab at Neuromatch. You know, we had all like 7 presentations or something. Those all could have their own, I don't know, advertisements, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And I think having those ready in the next week and a half or so is something that I think will be really good for the lab. So I'm going to try to work on that.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, we can do that on Slack. So we'll get that ready. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good.
All right. It's good to talk to you. Happy holidays, and if anybody's still listening to this, please be safe. Take care. And if you're interested in anything we're talking about, reach out on Slack or anywhere we are, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. So that's my